Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of this Let's Play Planet Coaster series. In this episode, we're going to be building a ticket booth for the guests to buy their tickets to get into the park if they don't have them already. And after I build this building in the park, it actually becomes one of my favorite. I absolutely love the way it looks on the side of the path with the ticket scanners to get into the park, how they look together. I think it looks really great, and I'm really excited for you guys to see it. The first thing we're going to do, though, is touch up some of this building over here. As you can see, some of the walls are just slightly off the grid, and I took out the chunky flat roof just because it was coming through some of the walls, and I didn't really like the way it looked. But we're adding in the, I forget what those are called, the white wall trims. I like the way they look. They kind of make it look a little bit modern, but for a flat roof. And then we're going to just take some windows and fill in the top instead of using an actual roof. But here you can see we are using the new vintage pack trim, and I love the way these new trims really finish out these buildings. I haven't yet gotten a chance to use any of the new vintage pack stuff. I've been kind of, I guess, pushing away on it. But in this episode, we really start to use some of it. We use the marquee lights, we use some of the pillars. Here we're even using some of the filters. I wanted to try and see if I can get sort of a dingy, gray feeling to the park. This is the filter I end up using. I don't actually think I use it anymore after this episode, but just kind of playing around with the filters. Here we're using some windows to make the roof. But we use some of the pillars, we use some of the spandrels, we use the marquee lights, and I think we actually use a vending machine. Super excited. I'm loving the way it came out. And we're still sticking with the wood batten wall set, just because in the vintage pack, when it came out, they finished out and added some more pieces to it. So I really wanted to use it, and I also really like the way it looks. Giving it a little bit of a pastel color kind of makes it look a bit faded. Maybe they haven't really touched up the paint. But there you saw we used some of those spandrels, and I think it looks really good, especially when you get down to guest view. Just kind of gives that little bit of touch of detail, kind of dates it a little bit. You saw there, we tried to use that spooky pack window thing. I want to try and make like a balcony for, well, not like a balcony, but like a porch for the staff to sit on, but did really like the way it looked. But here we start adding some planter boxes. And I think when we kind of add all these little details, as you can see, it already starts to look a lot better. Kind of gives it that fair carnival theme, I guess, style that we're kind of trying to go with. Because I don't know what, if you guys know the style of park that I'm trying to explain, then please tell me in the comment section, because I don't understand. I can't figure it out. I've tried doing my research, but it's not that it's a carnival or a fair. It's just like so it's essentially like a boardwalk, but on land, where we have all these fun carnival style rides like the carousel, the swings, bumper cars, all that stuff, but it's on land and it's permanent and people go to it. But then as it grew, it becomes an actual theme park is what I'm trying to go with. I have to do some more research to try and figure out exactly what that style is that I'm going for. But here we go. We are going to start the ticket booth right over here. So we're using the wood battens again. Originally, I tried to sink it down a little bit just to kind of, shrink the scale. But I went ahead and went against that because I hadn't tried to shrink the scale on anything else, on any of my other buildings. So I didn't want to start with just this one because I felt like everything would be off. I know that scale is kind of something a lot of builders struggle with in the game. The scale is quite large, because from what I understand, if these are square walls, each section is 4 meters tall, which I'm not, I guess was that 12 feet? Something like that. Don't take my conversions to heart, but something like that. So those are extremely tall. So a lot of people will shrink them down or figure out a different way to do the walls and stuff. But I just went ahead and went with the game scale. It's a little big, but I think it's fine as long as, as long as everything is in the scale, then it should be fine. It doesn't look too bad. There's ways to get around it, like at the ticket scanners over there, when we put the roof on just the one side, it helps kind of bring it down. And we'll do that a lot. We'll add like a little like awnings and different things over the windows and doors to kind of draw the eye down and make the walls appear to be smaller. But here I built this little planter, which I'm loving the new planters that come in the vintage pack. Actually, I think they came in the free update. But they're one of my favorite things that they have added to the game. I think they are extremely useful, something that we definitely wanted. There I'm just moving the staff building into this building for those few staff members right there working at the info booths. And I just put some chests inside just so that they feel that it is, you know, a really nice building. But it does come out to be really nice. I think I actually don't really need them after I finish it. Here I'm trying to use the grid a little bit. I like the way the paths look with the square corners. I just think it looks a little bit more finished. I don't really like the loopy, bubbly style that the paths sometimes have. So right now I kind of am using half the grid and half not. But before I actually start getting into the building and adding a lot of details, I'm going to move it back, rip out the path, and completely put it on the grid system. And I think it makes it look a lot better, a lot more neater. Here I'm trying to use the cypress trees. I don't know if you remember I mentioned in, I think it was the second episode, that I love the cypress trees, but they're just way too big. And I don't think the stems at the bottom go up high enough. So I tried using them there, but I do end up ripping them out, I believe, and just using flowers. But here we're starting to add the windows and the details, and you'll see, like, after you add the windows and the flowers, like, it starts to look really nice, but when you add, like, the pillars and the decoration across the top, it really kind of, it's a little bit of detail, but it really makes this building kind of look, it gives it that style of, like, they tried to do something with it, but it's really just a placeholder for them to sell tickets. So you'll see, like, we're gonna put on the front, like, it's gonna have a whole bunch, well, not a whole bunch, but a couple billboards or screens with, like, advertisement of maybe other parks that this company owns, and you can tell that, like, they put more money into advertising than they do the buildings that you know, they're selling what they're advertising for. I think that's kind of funny because a lot of parks kind of seem to be that way. I've mentioned Busch Gardens quite a bit. It used to be a much more privately owned. It wasn't privately owned, but it was a much smaller company that owned it, and SeaWorld actually bought them out. And you can tell that how different it is being owned by a corporation as opposed to a smaller company. I guess smaller in quotations, like Busch Brewery, as opposed to someone like SeaWorld. It's just a different style of, I guess, construction, a different style of employment. The employees are a lot, I guess, not really careless, but a lot less willing to make sure your trip is, like, absolutely perfect. I'm not trying to bash any employees at Busch Gardens, but it's just something I've inferred, I guess. But here you can see we put it on the grid, and we're trying to adjust the building a little bit. And I think it makes a big difference having it on the grid, because you can see here we can line up these paths a lot better. And then we're going to add a seating area around the back. Originally, I was trying to make it to where it was just it's just for employees to go back and sit in and use the vending machine. And I tried to put the barriers down, but the guests are still walking back there. And I'm assuming because, from what I understand, the way the barrier works is if there is no other place for them to go, then they'll walk through it. But if there's another option, they'll go to that other option. But since that's the only vending machine in this area, that's why they're going to it, is what I'm assuming. And I don't really know how to fix that without adding vending machines over here. So we'll see. But here we're just adding a sign. So this is a bathroom, but I'm going to label it as group sales because a lot of these parks have an area for you to buy tickets for large groups of people, like 10, 12 people. So I wanted to add that, and we just put the bathroom in there, and so people will walk in and out, make it look like they're purchasing group sales. I really like the way it comes out. And see here, we're continuing not putting actual doorways in. We're just putting the doors, and people just walk through it. And I really like the way that it makes the buildings look. instead of having the holes in them. We don't really have to worry too much about interiors. Here we're adding a roof. And see, this is what I meant by we're going to add some, I don't really know what those are called, awnings or porch roofing. But that really kind of helps to draw your eye down to make the walls not look so tall. Well, I guess from this angle they'll always look tall, but yeah. I haven't really gotten a chance to add any fairy lights into these buildings, and I think I'm going to go back off camera and add a whole bunch to trims and stuff, because I really think the fairy lights will kind of get that feeling that we're going for. Oh, here I didn't realize that flag was a billboard. So I noticed that, and I was trying to try and figure out if there was something that we could use, but I don't know, it's really stiff, and so I didn't think we could use it. But here we're using these new marquee lights, and I love these lights. I've already used them in the stop signs on the floor, and here we're actually using them as what they're meant for, and I think they're perfect. They're a little big, yeah, they're a little big, but I think they're perfect, and they glow at night. And then here we're going to be adding some flags, and I really think it makes this building kind of look like they're trying to, I guess, overly advertise them or be like, hey, tickets, come buy your tickets. So, I mean, well, I guess if anyone's here, they're already planning on going in, or they've already bought a ticket, or they're going to buy a ticket, so I don't know, but I guess if it's a quick queue or something, they can also sell them here. And here we're going to add some more of the barrier ropes. At first, I add them in, just kind of trying to do a little bit of a Z shape, but I realized they're too close together, and so nobody can get in or out. At first I don't notice that until the employees jump out to rest and they can't get out. And then I realized that if this were actually the setup, then everyone would be able to file in, but no one can get out. So we're just going to get rid of that side rope there. Here, see, we're going to be adding one of the billboards. I actually have a photo of a ticket sale. You can see there it just has the park hours, the ticket prices. And I just got those online. I didn't make them myself. I just Googled ticket booth billboard Planet Coaster, and that's what I got. And that there is the video of the other, I think it's called Meadow Woods, something like that. It comes in the game. I use that just to maybe advertise a different park that they might own, or a sister park or something. And here we're gonna add a fence. I like these white fences. I don't think I've ever used them before. But I'm using them just to kind of block so people can't sneak into the park if they haven't bought a ticket yet, and also to stop people from messing with the monorail track. And here we're getting rid of those plants we did in the last episode, and we're just going to do these planter boxes with some trees. And I tried to do, so I saw Silverette do it with, I believe in Koali Beach. He would build these planters and then he would sneak benches underneath them, so it looked like people were sitting on the edge of the planter boxes. And I tried to do that, but you can see the benches kind of clipping. So I think I got rid of it. I don't remember if I kept it or not, but some people were sitting on it, but some of the benches go all the way back into the dirt, so I don't know if it really worked the way I wanted it to. But here we're going to work on the seating area, and it's just going to be a little plot with 2 picnic benches on it and the vending machine. And I'm really struggling with trying to figure out how to get the guests to not walk back here, but allowing the staff to. So we're gonna either have to put more vending machines outside on the other side. Yeah, here's where the guests, they can't get out, so I get rid of those ones, and there we go. But struggling to maybe put some vending machines outside so that the guests can go to those ones instead of going to the staff ones. But the staff they don't ever sit or use the vending machines anyway, so I don't really know if it really matters. Here I'm trying to add the barriers. But yeah, you'll see there's people, guests are going to just walk back anyway after I put the stuff in. Here we're just adding a little gate to finish off the gardening area. I do believe we're going to take out these plants. Yeah, here's where I decided that they don't look good. So the video is actually coming to an end right about here. We got about 2 minutes left. So I just want to say, if you've really been liking this series, then leave a like. It really helps me to know if this is the kind of content you guys want to see. And if you guys have any suggestions or ideas, then just leave them in the comment section. I love to be critiqued and to get some advice. And then if you want to stay updated on what I'm posting and when I'm posting, then subscribe and hit the little bell notification. But if you don't want to, then that's fine. But in the next episode, we are going to be tackling the monorail station and adding some buildings to our quote-unquote main street. We're actually going to be ripping out the monorail and switching it out for a train, because I feel like it'll suit this park a lot better. I don't really think it's going to be big enough to have a monorail, so I'm just going to switch it out for a train. We're actually going to rip the entire monorail building apart, because as I was working on it, I realized I didn't like it. Yeah, here's one of those new vending machines. I love the new vending machines. But yeah, we're going to add some buildings, and if you know what the style of architecture I'm thinking of, then please leave in the comment section below. The only way I can really search what the building style is if I look up East Coast Beach House. So if you know what style that is, then let me know. But here we're going to jump into some glamour shots of the park, and you can see this is a really, really nice area of the park. I mean, they don't really use it at all, but I think it really adds to the style and feel that it is a realistic park. So thank you guys for watching. Once again, leave a like if you really enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to get all my content. But thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.